All right, welcome everybody to another episode of After the Close. Happy expiration. We're done with July. The year is moving along pretty fast.
It is.
So with me this month we have Mr. John Lemkan. John, how are you?
Hello, Michael.
Why don't you introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about what you do?
First of all, I'm Michael's uncle. Michael's mom is my sister.
Yep.
And I work in finance. I'm in the industry for 41 years.
41?
41 years.
Wow, okay. Now I've been looking forward to having this discussion, I'm not gonna lie, because not that you're only in finance, but you're a veteran of the old trading floors.
I am.
You are. So for anyone who's not familiar, think of Trading Places.
Exactly.
Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy at the end. They're yelling and screaming. They're trading on the floor.
Frozen concentrated orange juice.
Frozen concentrated orange juice, which I thought until I was about 23 was totally made up. So you are a veteran of that world.
I am.
And I, too, am actually a veteran of that world to some extent.
You've been there. You've been in the trenches.
I've been in the trenches. I've been in different places multiple times. So I've been looking forward to having a real old school trader conversation this month.
Good.
So why don't you start off? Tell us, how did you get into that world?
Well, I grew up in Jersey City.
Okay.
And I didn't have a lot of direction when I finished high school. While I was in high school, I worked at a men's clothing store. And when I graduated from high school, I continued to work in the men's clothing store. And I guess at some point I realized that wasn't a good career path, not the path to success. And we're at a family function. Either I was in high school or just after high school. And I don't know if it was a wedding or a funeral or something like that. And some cousins were there. And one of my cousins was older than I am, was sharing his new job with my sisters, your mom included,
Yep.
and talking about how he works in New York City, and it's a big crowded place. Trading occurs there, and I didn't really know what trading was, and he takes a cigarette break every 20 minutes and stuff like that. And the way he described it sounded interesting. And I took a few business classes in high school. I took some accounting classes, business law, marketing. So I was interested.
In high school you took those?
In high school, yeah.
Oh man, education's gone downhill.
And so I did have an interest in business or finance from a high school level. And I found out that my cousin was working in that area or that industry. And I said, I guess I knew working in the men's clothing store wasn't long-term for me. So I said, hey, if you know of an opening or you can get me in, I'm interested. And he said, sure, I'll see what I can do. And a few months later, out of the blue, I think it was a Friday, I got a call from my cousin and he said, I got you a job, you start on Monday.
All right.
No name, no resume, no interview, you start on Monday. So on Saturday, but
that is a classic case of like, I started in the mailroom and
Yes.
I worked my way up.
Exactly.
Which is totally something that can't be done today.
Correct.
Today you need an MBA to get like the guy who brings the lunch cart around at an investment bank. But all right, go on. So you started on Monday.
So on Saturday, I went to my job at the clothing store, and I was friendly with the manager, but things were going downhill. And when we ended the day, I said, today's my last day. He said, what do you mean? I said, I'm quitting because I got another job and I start on Monday.
Okay.
And he wasn't very pleased with that, but I was 18.
Sure.
And
you're 18.
a buddy of mine and I went to a mall that was open on Sunday, because where I lived, the stores were closed because we had blue laws.
Oh,
and we found a store that was open in the mall, and I bought a blazer because I didn't know what the requirements were. I thought it was a suit and tie job or something close to that. And I didn't have a lot of suits and ties. And we bought a blazer. I bought a blazer, a woolen blazer, because it was January. And I had a few collared shirts and ties to wear. And I knew how to get to the World Trade Center. I took the PATH train from Journal Square across the river, 30 cents. each way, and I left the house with 60 cents. 30 cents to get me to work and 30 cents to get home. And I got to the building, and this was way before cell phones, so I couldn't call and say, hey, I'm here. So
About what year was this?
January 31st, 1983.
1983, okay.
I remember it was the day after the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay, that's a good way to remember it.
So I found where I needed to go in 4 World Trade Center, and I found the elevator bank, and I went up to the 8th floor, where the trading floor was, and there was an information desk, and I guess I had a name, and I told them the name of the person I was looking for, and I said, I'm starting a job. I didn't know I'd never been there before. I didn't know what the procedure was. So they called the guy who was going to be my manager out, and he came out, and I signed some paperwork, and he said, okay, come on in. And I started my job.
There you go. Now, and what was the job? Like, what did you start doing?
I started as a runner.
A runner. Classic.
A runner. Maybe a step up from the mailroom and pushing the mail cart, but very much entry level at the bottom, no knowledge of anything.
Okay. So what is this is 1983, so like people are thinking of like Charlie Sheen on Wall Street. That was in 1985, but they were upstairs in a brokerage office.
Correct.
It's a little different.
Very different. Very different. So my knowledge of commodity futures was listening to WINS 1010 Winds radio station in New York.
Yep.
And every morning they mentioned the price of gold. And in the late 70s, early 80s, gold spiked dramatically up to about $800 an ounce.
Okay.
And that's what was mentioned every day on the radio. So that was my knowledge. And I didn't realize that it wasn't gold that was, the price was rising. It was silver that was rising. And gold was more prominent, more known. So as silver rose, the price of gold rose also. And WINS always mentioned the price of gold every day, or the gold fixing, the gold fix. And that was the extent of my knowledge. I didn't know about the silver part at that time, but I knew that gold was up.
Okay.
So I signed the paperwork at the entrance to the trading floor, and I went into this room. And I don't know if you've ever opened the door to go outside when you're cold out and you get hit in the face with all this wind and noise or whatever. That's what it was like.
Yeah. I remember the first time I stepped foot on one of the floors, and it's unlike anything you've ever thought existed.
Correct.
It's this ballet of chaos.
Organized chaos is a term that I've used quite often. If you've never been there, it looks like crazy people doing crazy things. But once you're there and you realize the different categories of people, who's doing what with whom, how they're communicating, it makes sense, and you can make sense of the chaos.
Got it. Yes, it takes legitimate training, doesn't it, to actually be able to participate properly?
For what I was doing, some minor instruction, and then more repetitions to learn how to say things correctly, how to understand what someone else says, what does it mean, and then some of the roles. A trader, for instance, needed to go through a training course to learn the procedures and the rules and the risks that were involved with it. But for what I was doing, a runner, the instructions were, here's a piece of paper or an order ticket, take it out to the ring and give it to the guy out there, and he's
come back.
And he's going to give you paper to bring back, and you bring it back here. Take this piece of paper out there and bring that paper back to here. That was my job.
And that perfectly legitimate job. It was a critical component of the mechanism, I guess you can call it, the mechanism to get a trade completed.
Correct. So we had a booth. My company had a booth near the silver ring on the COMEX trading floor. Okay. And my job was to. We had some customers that called on the telephone. And my job was to take those. The more experienced guys in the company. They answered the phone, greeted the customer, and they wrote the order down on an order ticket. I had no idea what it was. It was an order ticket, and they
physical paper.
Physical.
I feel like in today's world we cannot stress enough that this was all physical slips of paper.
Yes.
With carbon copies
Nope.
attached?
Single copy paper. I think the right word is hard stock. It's very thin cardboard. It's thicker and firmer than like loose leaf paper, and it had a what's the right word? A print on it to denote lines where to write certain information. There was a buy side of the ticket and a sell side of the ticket, and then there were some lines to write the delivery month and the price. And the information was written on the ticket. It was the back of it was time stamped, and sometimes it was folded, sometimes it wasn't, and it was important. And if I lost it, I had to tell them that I lost it or I dropped it. And then I had to take that ticket out to the ring clerk out by the ring, and I would give him the ticket, and then he would hand the order ticket into the traders in the ring, and then the traders in the ring either made a trade on the order, executed the trade, or if the order was, as I later learned, I didn't know any of this the first day, if the order was off the market, they would record the order on their deck, a big piece of cardboard, so they didn't need to hold all the paper. They condensed all the order tickets onto a cardboard deck so they could see all the orders at a glance.
Got it.
And then they would put a check mark on the order ticket, meaning they recorded the order on the deck, and then they gave the order ticket back to the ring clerk. And as you can see, Michael has a trading jacket here. Everyone wore a trading jacket, and it had served many purposes. All the some pockets were orders that needed to go into the ring, and other pockets were paper that needed to go back to the booth.
Let's not bury the lead. I'm going to bring it out.
Okay.
I thought we might come to this. So what we have is, this is my original, this is my trading jacket from when I was a first year. They wouldn't call them runners by the time I came along in the mid 2000s. We would have been like, I was a trainee, they called us. But effectively we had the same job. We were just, lunch runs, coffee runs.
Yes.
Go wander over there and ask this guy a question. That sort of jazz. So this was the one that I actually wore on the floor in Philadelphia. That's where I happened to be. And this is a genuine Pico jacket.
Pico was the brand. I think they were located in Chicago. Yep.
The Pico jacket, based in Chicago, with the 4 pockets and everything. And then that's where you'd keep all of your stuff. So I got one of these for you to check
trading
out.
Pad. Yep.
Yeah, we got the trading pad here. And we also have some old tickets. These are options tickets from Philadelphia, but the same idea. And I'm going to put pictures up on all of this.
Okay.
So. And then last but not least, we got the badges.
Trading badge.
So when you're on the floor, you're wearing your jacket and you got all of your pockets filled with everything you need. Did you have a jacket for yourself?
When I first began, no. I wasn't given a jacket, but I realized how important it was to have one, and there were some places where there were jackets that were unattended.
Okay.
And I acquired one. To work more efficiently.
Yes.
And then eventually, over the years, I worked for different companies on the trading floor where they actually provided the jacket.
Right.
And then it became an identity.
Sure.
Now, the jacket you showed is black with gray mesh. So I'm sure everyone who worked for the company wore the same jacket.
Yes.
So. And different companies wore a different color combination. That way on the trading floor, if you needed to, like my role as a runner when I began, that would help me find the people I needed to give the order to, because they would have worn the same if we were given trading jackets, we would have worn the same trading jacket.
Right.
And then other people on the floor know, they can see who's doing what, who's buying, who's selling more than somebody else. They can say, Michael's company is buying or John's company is selling. And it helps the flow of information by knowing who's doing what based on the trading jacket they're wearing.
Yes, that's true. I will say that I too acquired my jacket right around the time I was asked not to come back to work anymore.
I have a collection of trading jackets at home. Over the years, I probably have, 7 or 8 trading jackets folded up in the closet. Different times. Now, this jacket that you showed has a mesh back.
Yes.
That's so when you're on the trading floor, it's crowded and many people are moving and you get hot. And it's to help ventilate so you don't sweat as much. Now, when I started, there was no such thing as mesh backs. And then if you were a runner like I was and you were going through the crowd, sometimes somebody's belt buckle or pen or button would get caught on the mesh, and it would pull the pen out of somebody's pocket. All kinds of things.
All sorts of
Crazy things happened.
Odds and ends. It's like your office, and people have the same type of nonsense that occurs in like a regular office, but yours just happened to be where you had what, 200 to 300 strapping men yelling and screaming at each other all day.
In the silver ring where I started, probably about 100 traders, and then 150 to 200 telephone clerks, write-up clerks, just for silver. And then there were gold, silver, and copper were traded in Comex, and then platinum and heating oil were traded in NYMEX, and coffee, sugar, and cocoa on one side, in one corner, and cotton. So there were 4 exchanges on the trading floor, 4 different administrations, 4 different memberships, but all in one room. So there were well over 1,000 people on the trading floor.
Right. And you mentioned memberships. Like that's like I think a bygone era idea. And like walk us through a little bit, like what does it mean to be a member versus a non-member? Like how does that work?
So the exchanges were member-owned organizations.
Like private organizations.
Correct.
So you could almost think of them as like partners, so to speak?
Country club or fraternity.
Oh, okay.
Similar to that, where you need to get interviewed and meet some financial requirements to become a member. And there's a membership committee that reviews all your documentation and that you submitted and your financial commitment, and they approve you to membership, or tell you that you need more money, you need better clarification, your fingerprints are smudgy, or something crazy like that. So you can become a member. You need to get approved to become a member of the exchange, and then in order to trade, you need to either buy a membership on the exchange, or if you can't afford to buy a membership, you need to lease a membership on the exchange. There are a finite number of memberships. So basic rules of supply and demand. Supply is constant, so the value of the membership changes based on demand.
Right.
So where I worked when I started in Comex, I think there were 772 memberships, some crazy number like that. I don't know how they come up with that number, but there were that many memberships, and it didn't change, but the value of the membership changed on how much someone wanted to become a member of the exchange, and more people wanting to buy, like supply and demand, more people wanting to buy the membership drove the price up, more people wanting to sell their memberships pushed the price down. So the cost to become a member fluctuated based on supply and demand.
I see. So to be clear, like only a member or someone that a member allowed or gave permission to on their behalf was allowed to actually execute trades and do that work. Everyone else, because there weren't just members on the floor, those members or the people leasing the right or the ability to trade, they had all of their support staff behind them.
Correct.
So that's what you were as the runner. You were
Yes.
one of the support staff members who were allowed to be sort of at the peripheral.
So the company that I worked for, there were 4, 5, 6, there were about 10 employees that did not trade, doing all the aspects of answering the phone, running orders, checking the trades with the other party to make sure that they knew all the details the same way. And there were 3 traders for the company.
Okay.
So those 3 traders, they either owned their membership or they leased the membership from somebody else who owned it.
Got it.
So if I owned a membership and I didn't want to actually trade, I could lease the membership to you and you could trade. Not necessarily on my behalf. You could make trades for your own personal account, or you could execute orders for customers of yours.
Got it.
So one membership, one trader at a time.
Okay.
You wouldn't trade on my behalf. You could make your own trades, but I owned the membership, and you would pay me a lease, just like you lease a car or a house. You would pay me a lease fee every month.
Got it. And then, so you're talking about the different people who are trading then, who either are members or leased a seat for the exchange. What type of guys and what kind of companies were they representing? I mean, I know there's like like let's say let's use oil. Maybe that's a little bit more of a common for everybody. They can kind of. So you might have guys from say like ExxonMobil. Would they be there, or would you just have maybe, I don't know, Fidelity, the brokerage company? Like, what type of people and companies are out there interacting with each other back in like the early 80s, like when you're starting?
One of the investment banks my company traded for was E.F. Hutton.
E.F. Hutton.
When E.F. Hutton speaks, everyone listens.
You're dating yourself on that one a bit, but okay, I know it. Yeah, E.F. Hutton, got it.
E.F. Hutton had a big operation on the trading floor. They had many employees, but none of them traded. Okay. And they received orders over the telephone from their customers, and they also had a printer. Okay. That I guess the different branches around the country on, I don't know, teletype or some ancient entry system like that, someone from a branch office could enter in an order to buy or sell silver at a certain price and click enter or send, and the order would get printed at the E.F. Hutton booth at 4 World Trade Center in New York City. And E.F. Hutton had someone operating or managing the printer and would tear the order off and give it to a runner and say, take this to silver, because the order was for silver, or if the runner knew how to read the order, could see that it said silver, and he would bring it to the silver ring, to the ring clerk, the same guy that I was giving the orders to. So the Traders for my company traded the orders that I brought to them and the orders that runners from E.F. Hutton brought over to us. E.F. Hutton was one of our biggest customers at the time. I see.
Okay. So there was a lot of like agency, I suppose you'd say, a lot of representation being done, which is a lot of how those traders would make money. It's not so much trading, they weren't speculating on the price of, say, silver or gold or oil. They could be doing that.
Correct.
But they were also representing other people who wanted to buy or sell. So they were brokers.
Correct. So that E.F. Hutton order, if one of the traders from my company executed or filled the order, we would charge E.F. Hutton a few dollars for not every trade, but for the quantity of contracts that we bought or sold. So you can have one order to buy 5 contracts of silver, and we would charge whatever the rate was times 5. Or if it was a one-lot order, we would charge the rate, 2, 3, whatever the quantity was, $2 or $3 per contract. We would charge for every order that we executed for them. So my company, we were paid commission for every order that we executed, either orders that were brought to us on the trading floor or orders that came in on the telephone directly from our customers.
Got it.
And then the traders, the members, they brought in revenue for the company by executing the customer orders, and they could also trade for their own account at the same time, not necessarily in front of the order, because that's illegal, that's called front running. They could speculate for their own account, risk their own money to buy or sell to make money also.
Got it.
So I think they received a salary from the company, and they made money or lost money trading for their own account.
I see. That makes sense. There was a lot of trust, a lot of understanding of how the mechanism works, and I think anyone who trades electronically today in front of screens, I think they have a difficult time envisioning how a system like that could have run efficiently. And I think the key, though, is that it, relatively speaking, it was less efficient.
It was less efficient.
In terms of volume and in terms of like the spreads between bid and offer were wider and things of that nature.
Less efficient than markets now, but at the time, they were as efficient as they could be. The commodity futures trading in an exchange or organized futures trading began in the late 1800s.
Okay.
When a commodities exchange, very different than equities. Most people know to buy or sell stock or equities. They know how that works. But
or they think they do.
They think they do. Commodity futures are very similar in that you can trade them on or could have traded them on an exchange trading floor, but they're like the lesser known little cousin compared to the New York Stock Exchange or the American Stock Exchange.
Right.
So commodity exchanges in the late 1800s, there were many, and they tended to get located where in port cities where ships would bring the supplies in, and people would sell the supplies as they come off the ship, or people know to come to buy the supplies when they come off the ship, or where railroad lines terminated and the goods that came off the train needed to go to warehouses or to get sold, they were bought and sold at the rail station. So port cities, railroad terminuses, whatever the plural of that is, terminals,
yes.
that's where many exchanges began. New York City, Chicago, the West Coast, San Francisco, maybe Boston and the East Coast, but that's where many exchanges, Philadelphia, that's where many exchanges, commodity exchanges began, because that's where the goods and services came to the big cities from wherever the cattle were raised or the crops were grown. They had to bring them to the market, and the market was in the big city, where some guys were buying and selling, consumers and producers. The farmers were the producers, and the consumers were the shopkeepers, or now it's ExxonMobil. They drill for oil, they're the producer, and United Airlines is the consumer. Always producers and consumers. They're the two different sides of the equation for trading, buying and selling, and whoever wants to buy, whoever wants to sell, they create the market.
Right.
The buyers, it's like buying a house. Or selling a house. Everyone who sells a house wants to get top dollar, so you list your price. You offer to sell your house at a certain price, but the market, the buyers, are going to dictate how much you're going to sell it for. So the market is the buyer. At what level do the buyers and sellers meet?
Yep.
That's what happened at an exchange. The producers sent their goods to the port city, and the consumers came there to buy the goods to bring back to wherever they were going to distribute them or sell them, and they established the value there. If someone was bringing wheat in to the marketplace, if 5 trains came in at one time, that's a lot of supply. Well, I can buy it from that other train because they're selling it a little less expensive, and then someone may lower the price. So supply and demand. More supply, the price goes down. Or if there were only one train and 5 people wanted to buy it, more demand would drive the price up.
Sure.
Basic supply and demand.
Classic economics, I see. And you're not joking when you said when that started, there were actual train loads coming in.
Yes.
That, I mean, not in 1983, but in 1883.
1883.
Sure, that's the way that goes. A lot of people don't know how some of the mechanics of it all works, like taking delivery. Like the concept of taking delivery. Because it's like, if you buy, let's say you buy NVIDIA is the big hot stock these days, right? You buy 100 shares of NVIDIA stock, you're going to just see it show up on your screen with a little notation that says, okay, you now have 100,
Yes.
But with commodities trading, these are often futures contracts which expire. So there's a deadline to decide what you're going to do, and a piece of that is the idea of taking delivery.
Correct.
So, I'd be interested to know, like, do you have it's like taking delivery? Like, do you know how does that work? Because you don't show up. 1,000 barrels of oil don't show up at your front door.
Correct. Most of the core products or original commodity futures that were tradable were physically delivered products, where if I bought crude oil, or if I bought gold, or if I brought frozen concentrated orange juice, commodity futures are deliverable over a period of time, divided by months. You can buy orange juice or oil or gold for delivery in January, February, every month through December, and then the next year after that. And some commodity futures you can buy or sell 10 to 12 years into the future. So whoever's buying or selling is speculating now on what the price is going to be at that time in the future. So if I buy oil right now at, I don't even know what crude oil is trading, let's say you buy oil at $80 a barrel, right now we're almost in July.
Right.
So if I buy oil for delivery in September, if I buy it now, I lock in the price now, and then when September comes, if I'm a buyer, the oil gets delivered to me at the price that I paid for in July.
Right.
Regardless of what happens in the rest of July and August. a war may break out, or there may be a tanker may rupture, and the price of oil may go up or down, but I locked in my price already. So there's risk involved, but educated speculation, if I'm a buyer, I think the price is going to go up. So if I buy it now, I'm saving money.
Sure.
Commodity futures, the one nuance that I think is different than equities trading is that it's easier or simpler to short the market. If I think the price is going to drop, I can sell commodity futures, I can sell oil or sell gold or sell frozen concentrated orange juice without having it, without possessing it.
You can naked short sell in commodities without concern for any sort of
Correct.
rules and regulations.
But when that if whatever contract month, whatever delivery month I trade, if I sell September delivery crude oil right now, when September comes, if I remain short, then I need to deliver 1,000 barrels of crude oil.
You sold someone
I sold
1,000
it.
barrels of crude oil. You have to then give them somehow 1,000 barrels of crude oil.
The entity that bought it, they expect to take delivery. A buyer takes delivery, and the seller makes delivery. Now, if I'm just a floor trader, I never want to go to delivery. I never want to get required to make delivery or take delivery because I don't have the oil, and I don't have a pipeline hooked up to my backyard to take delivery of 1,000 barrels of oil or 42,000 gallons of heating oil. I don't have that infrastructure.
Right.
So the producers, Exxon, or the consumers, United Airlines, they're the few
Participants?
risk managers involved in the market that actually take the transaction all the way to delivery. Everyone else who trades is speculating, and they offset their position before the contract expires, before the delivery date. So if I buy September crude oil now, I expect to sell it before September. So if I buy it at $80, my goal may be to sell it at $81. So that means I made $1 on 1,000 barrels. So I make 10 on a dollar. I'd make how much? $1,000.
You make $1,000.
Yes,
Yep.
I'd make $1,000 on that one transaction. Or if I sold it at $80, so there are two sides to every trade: a buyer and a seller. So if I buy it at $80 and sell it at $81, I make $1,000.
Yep.
If I buy it at $80 and sell it at $79, I lose $1,000.
Right.
So the price market goes up or down, you can make or lose money. Same thing with the seller. You can enter the market either from the long side or the short side, buying and selling, and if the price goes up or down, both are at risk to make or lose money.
Of course. That's the name of the game, right? So did you ever actually trade yourself? Were you ever actually involved? Did you have a least membership? Did you ever do that?
So I started working on the trading floor when I was 18, and I had a full head of hair. I had a mullet at the time. No one called it a mullet. It was a pretty cool haircut at the time.
Not to your face.
And when I was about 23, I had the opportunity to become a member
Okay.
and trade. And I thought I knew what I was doing. I didn't realize how undercapitalized I was, and I didn't realize how risk averse I was, and I wasn't able to capitalize on the opportunity.
Okay.
I didn't go broke.
Sure.
But I didn't make enough money trading to continue trading. So I couldn't afford to buy a membership, so I leased the membership. And the lease was more than I could afford. I couldn't continue doing that. And leases usually membership leases were in 6-month increments.
Okay.
And usually most people who become traders, or who did at that time, the vast majority do not succeed, or they do not go past the six-month lease. If you get to the second 6-month lease, you're considered a success.
Okay.
So I wasn't a failure. I just couldn't make enough money to continue to pay the lease on the membership.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know if how well you know this story, but I ended up doing something extremely similar. So after I parted ways and took my trading jacket with me, I opened an account to trade commodity futures for myself, and I did it through a proprietary firm that'll take people on. So I deposited money into the account.
Your own money.
My money, yes. And then I was not taking a salary. My salary was just what I made. So
What you made trading.
It was a classic like eat what you kill scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And
Acid in your stomach, grinding your teeth.
Yeah. So I think very first day, I think I lost $600 on the day. Mm-hmm. And I went home, I took the bus home that day, and I'm like, holy shit, this might not be a good idea.
How many other people go to work and are worth less than they were when they got to work?
Yeah. Directly because of the decisions that they made.
Yes. Most people go to work, earn a salary, and they get paid at the end of the week, every 2 weeks at the end of the month, mm-hmm. and they're worth more when they receive the salary. But when you're a trader, a local trader like you were,
right.
who only trades for their own account, your only source of income is your trading.
Yes.
And the more skill you develop, the more market influences you pay attention to. If you are a technical mm-hmm. person where you look at
which I was when I was doing it. Because by the time I came along, everybody had charting packages, and you're sitting there.
Point and figure charts, candlestick charts, all
the whole bit. Yeah, that's what I was doing. But so you mentioned though that the lease runs in 6-month increments, and a lot of people won't make it the end of that first 6 months.
Correct.
That's sort of what ended up happening with me. Is that I did it I was coming up on like month 5, and rent was due, and
you knew what direction it was going in,
and it kind of came so I was my P&L, I was about breaking even.
Hmm? Same boat.
I wasn't really losing money, but you have your cost structure on top that you got, and you're just day-to-day expenses that you have to pay for. And
every transaction you make, you pay a commission on.
That is true too. Yes.
And then you have to pay 1/3 to the government in income tax.
You pay 1/3 to the government, and in my particular situation, the brokerage firm, which was sort of sponsoring me, also took they had to wet their beak as well.
Yes.
So once everybody else got their share. I think I got a paycheck at the end of the month 5, and it was like $237. I made $237 for myself at the end of the month, and I was like, well, I don't think this is gonna work too much longer. I mean, I didn't have a lot of expenses at the time, but it was more than $237 worth of expenses.
I hear that. That's what happened. I was in the same boat. Same thing happened to me.
So I did it for I came up, and it was like I was like, thank you for the opportunity, but I think I'm gonna have to close up shop on this and find something else. So I did the exact same thing, and I was also about 23. Mm-hmm. There's something about being, I think, in your young 20s that makes you think you can do whatever you want.
I can do anything.
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna be the next, Warren Buffett or whomever.
By 24, I was a lot wiser.
Yes, so was I. Yeah, and that's when I was living in my parents' basement that I definitely, because I had only been making $237, I realized that, there was a lot to learn, but I had also learned a lot. So you had an opportunity at 23 to try that, and you did. No one can say you didn't.
Correct.
That's what I always like to say to people. It's no one can ever say I didn't give it a shot. Mm-hmm. But then you still stayed in the industry.
Correct.
So how did the arc of the 90s and 2000s kind of go for you? You ended up kind of what was your trajectory?
So I started as a runner, mm-hmm. and anyone who works on a commodities trading floor, I'm sure something similar happens if you worked on an equities trading floor. Now, an exchange trading floor, not an investment bank trading floor where everyone sits at a desk with many monitors. An exchange trading floor. There's certain information that's vital for you to understand and be able to process. And in commodity futures trading, the contracts that are traded are based on the month when they come to delivery, mm-hmm. when they expire, when they terminate trading. And some people, myself included, record many orders from customers throughout the course of the day. And if someone wants to buy or sell for January delivery, January, it's 7 letters. Mm-hmm. So some brilliant person, way before our time, came up with codes to use to shorten how to communicate January for delivery and come up with a 1-letter code for each delivery month.
Okay, yeah, which are still used today.
Correct.
That's why you punch in. Oh, go ahead.
I to this day, I still write notes with the month codes.
Oh, yeah.
Or when I balance the checkbook, I wrote the month code instead of writing out the month. So the first day anyone, a runner like myself, or maybe even you, when you started, is for someone who is in a more experienced role or who is the mentor as opposed to the mentee in that situation, would write out the 12-month codes, January through December, F, G, J, H.
This is like old
K, M, N.
really, yeah.
So
the July expiration was today, but generally I think the quarterly expiration. So January, March, or no,
March, June,
September, and December are the big ones. So September will be coming up. It's probably the most liquid at the moment.
Yes.
That was you.
Yes.
Yes. So I know.
Good, very good. Someone would write down the word of the month, January through December, and then the corresponding month code, and that was the first thing you would learn, the month codes. And along the way, someone taught me a mnemonic to remember them. Fat girls hate John. Kiss, meaning the band, Kiss, may never quit. Unicorns vomit except begins with X, except zebras. Fat girls hate John. Kiss may never quit. Unicorns vomit except zebras. They're the month codes.
Got it.
Now you'll never forget them.
Now we'll never forget it. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this just to make sure I got the mnemonic down.
So that's the first thing to learn, the month codes, so that if you're handed an order ticket, you know what the delivery month is. And then you can, if you look at the price on the ticket, you should look up at the wallboard where all the prices of the transaction that occurred are displayed, so everyone on the trading floor could see them.
Okay.
Full disclosure. So if you look at the ticket and see the delivery month and the price, compare it to what's on the board, you can tell if the order ticket is close to the market level to get executed or if it's far away. And the closer the price is to the last trade that you can see on the wallboard gives the order priority to get to the ring first or to put on the top of the pile first when you give the orders to the trader. They're things to learn. And you only learn that with experience by going through repetitions of it. So I started as a runner, then I learned the month codes, I learned how to read the wallboard, and I became more valuable to the company because I learned more and I could do more things, so I was given more responsibility. The more you learn, the more reliable you become, the more responsibility you're given, and that's how you move up the ladder.
That's solid ABC career advice.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I started as a runner, and then I advanced all the way up to ring clerk, where I'm the guy who stood out by the ring and took the orders from the runner to give to the trader. And then I began answering the telephone and talking to customers and recording their orders. And then I began handing the orders to the runner to bring out to the ring. And then eventually I learned enough where the group that I worked with, they thought it was a good idea for me to become a trader. That's how I became a trader. That didn't work out. So there's no, you don't retire.
No.
At 23 when you're an unsuccessful trader. So I needed a job, so I went back. I changed my role. I still worked on the same trading floor. I just changed roles where I went back to the role I was in before that, talking to customers on the telephone, telling them what I could see going on in the ring and the market, giving them some commentary, quoting the market for them, what's the best bid, what's the best offer, things like that. And then I did that for many years. And that was how my time on the trading floor progressed, and I ran that out I worked on the trading floor for 18 years. In that capacity.
Wow. Yeah. So and
I went through many different color trading jackets doing that.
Many color trading jackets, and one of the items that is unique on the trading floor. So you're there for 18 years, and you get to know a lot of people. You get to see the same people over and over again. I almost think of it as you're not working against each other, you're not working with each other, because you're all parts of different companies and you all have your own P&L to manage, your own customers to manage. What is the interactions like? How competitive is it? How fraternal is it? How much were these did you think of them as like frenemies? Like what was like, how was the interactions like that? Because you're physically interacting. You're essentially talking, communicating with other people every day as part of your job. It's an inherent relationship business, is it not?
It is.
So what was that? What was it like talking with people every day?
So, traders stand in the ring, and telephone clerks stand outside the ring, and booth clerks stand in the booth down the aisle. That's kind of like the progression
Okay.
in distance from the ring. And on the trading floor, you stand up all day. There are no seats. There's no room for a seat. There are no trash cans because there's no room for a trash can. So you may see a lot of old pictures or videos of trading floors, and they look very messy. That's because if I wrote an order ticket and I made a mistake, I could either cross it out or just rip up or throw the bad ticket on the floor and write up a new one. If I went to walk over to a trash can to drop the order in the trash can, it would waste time. So there were no trash cans, and all the paper just went on the floor. You weren't allowed to eat or drink anything on the trading floor to keep it environmentally clean, but all the trash was paper. And at the end of the day, it all got cleaned up. So I lost my train of thought. Where were we going?
No, I was saying, so what would you're interacting with people along different chains. You have the people in your company. So like the phone clerk might hand a ticket to the runner, and that hands it to the ring clerk and it to the trader. But you're all on the same team because you're all in the same company and you're all trying to execute an order. On the other hand, there are people right next to you who are doing the same thing for themselves, but you have to then you're elbowing them a little bit, or you need somebody at a different company to execute an order with. So were you all in aggregate? There must have been 50 to 100 different small organizations trying to do well for themselves, but they need all of these other organizations there and have good relationships with them so that they can do well.
Correct.
So how fraternal was it on how much were you all going out to the bars together versus how much were you politicking against each other? You know what I'm saying? How much was it was it like Congress where everybody were just trying to get one over on each other?
Very good description. For every trade, there's a buyer and a seller. One trader cannot be the buyer and the seller.
Sure.
So for every transaction you make, you need to interact with another trader. You communicate with that other trader verbally, announcing your bids or offers, or gesturing. Palms in means you want to be a buyer. Palms out means you want to be a seller. So you communicate that way. You can show quantity or price with your fingers or counting and on your chin or your forehead to show the quantity. This means palm in means I want to buy. This means buy 1. This means buy 10.
Okay.
This means sell 2. This means sell 20.
Okay.
Or buy 25. And then there are American Sign Language. There are hand signals for every letter of the alphabet that corresponds to that letter to the month code. So I think a hand like this means the letter K. So this means the month of May. By 25 May at 45, something like that. I haven't done it in a long time, but, some people can communicate a whole sentence, just like you communicate with emojis now, communicate a whole sentence with hand signals and tell them how many you want to buy or sell, at what price, and for what delivery month. And that's nonverbal communication, or I can yell out, hey, I'm 45 bid for 15 May.
Sure.
Something like that.
You're doing all the hand signals, and it's just cool to know. But I first learned how to trade via that open outcry mechanism as well, and to this day I will still talk to people and I'll make these little hand signals as I'll say I'll be in a totally different floor. I'd be on a corporate bond floor talking to somebody in front of a screen, but I'll still be all right, so you sold 10 of the and I'll be doing the hand motions because that's how I first learned to do it, and it helps me think of cash flow and this is coming into me. Can I send that out? I absolutely do that to this day. And
this was the hand signal to cancel an order, or I'm out of the order, and I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. I cancel.
Yeah.
But most people don't understand what I know what I'm saying, but they don't. Most people that I try to communicate that with, they don't understand what I'm saying or doing. Yeah, but in my mind, I know what I'm doing.
As time passes, you get more and more people who don't quite know how to what that was.
So trading floor, the mechanism. So. My company, we are an entity and we're a team. We all wear the same color trading jacket and we're working for the same purpose. The trader or traders for our company is our representative in the ring, and that trader it was mostly men. He's the buyer, or he's our representative. He's buying and selling the orders for the company and probably trading for his own account also. Some firms only let their traders trade for the company. They were not allowed to trade for their own account. They can only trade for the company. Other traders, like what you did, you were considered a local trader where you only traded for your own account.
Correct.
So in the ring, you would have a mix of local traders, brokers who are executing orders for customers, or a hybrid who's somebody who's doing both. And the traders stand in a ring, a circular fashion, so there's no beginning or end, and everyone faces into the middle, so it's easier to communicate with everyone around you. If everyone stood in a straight line, you couldn't see the people at the end, so you stand in a ring. And there are steps in the ring, graduated steps, so the inner step is the lowest, and the outer step is the highest. Usually, the traders who are executing orders for a customer stand on the top outer step, so that it's easier for their staff to give them order tickets from the outside, handing it in over their shoulder, to give them a tap on the shoulder and give them the order ticket. The local traders that don't need to communicate with someone on the outside, they tend to stand on the lower steps.
That makes sense. I never really thought about that, but yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Because they're making all their decisions on their own. They're not taking instructions from somebody outside. So the customer order flow comes in from the top, and then the traders execute or cry out, open outcry. They cry out their bids and offers so that everyone else in the ring can hear them. So line of sight is good, but standing near a person, sound travels. If you stand near someone, you can hear what they're bidding or offering quicker than someone who's on the other side of the ring. So traders mostly traded with people they stood near because they could hear them more clearly than all the way across the ring, and they could hear the sound first. And when you're not trading, you're standing waiting for the market to get to your price or to have an order that's near the market. So when that's not happening, well, you stand with your arms folded, you think about what you're trying to do, grind your teeth worrying about losing money, or you engage in conversation with the people around you, standing near you doing the same thing, and you become friendly with them,
right.
Or maybe not. But you tend to become friendly with the people who stand near you, and you never work with them because they're doing the same thing. They're protecting their customers and representing their company, but the better relationship you have with someone, the more likely you are to trade with them.
Okay.
So relationships mattered. In commodity futures trading, we always try to recognize the highest bid, the highest buy price, and the lowest offer, the lowest selling price, and that's considered the market. You can't bid lower than that good bid price. So if the quote in the market is 55 bid at 57, 55 is the highest buy price, 57 is the lowest sell price. No one can announce to try to sell higher than 57, and no one can announce trying to buy lower than 55 or whatever number I said. So highest bid, lowest offer, that's the market.
So I can see it on your face as you're explaining that. You're really like thinking it through in your head to keep the ladder, the pricing ladder.
Yes,
in
exactly.
Your head. And what's interesting is like it sounds almost elementary to somebody who sits in front of a screen all day, but the screen is doing all of that ordering of it.
When I was describing it, I'm thinking price ladder on the screen, and how in open outcry you can't see the price ladder.
Right.
It's a verbal price ladder. So the pitch of your voice, the volume that you express your bid and offer in was very important. While on screen trading now, you can see the price ladder, you can see the quantity bid for at each price, the quantity offered at each price, and I'm showing my hands because the offer is always higher than the bid.
Right. But like you came from a world where you had to keep track of it in your head.
Yes.
And that's the key I'm trying to make. So for example, like if I'm looking at my screen and like I sneeze, or like I get up for a second to get like a coffee or whatever else, I come back, I know that the computer is going to have the correct bid offer price shown right in front of me. So I don't have to like expend that mental energy to like actively keep track of it. You know what I mean? Whereas people who are on the trading floors and in the pits, they would have to really like be on the ball and know what's going on, because the price could like drift away from them if they just like zone out for a second, and they could miss their opportunity to say something.
When you're a screen trader, you need good vision to read the screen. Open outcry floor trading, listening was a very important skill. and being able to listen to a few conversations or a few people bidding and offering at the same time to differentiate which contract month they're trying to buy or sell and at what price they're trying to buy or sell. There's a lot going on, and hundreds of people, maybe 150 to 200 people yelling at the same time. It's not possible to listen to what everyone is saying, so you may listen to the people in your immediate area. It's easier and it's safer because if there's a miscommunication on a transaction, hey Joey, hey, did I buy 15 or 50? It's an easy miscommunication, and because someone's near me, I can tap them on the shoulder and resolve the out trade more easily as opposed to trying to do that with somebody across the ring. So traders on the steps, most traders tend to trade with people near them, but you can trade with anyone in the ring. And if you bid or offer, you need to make your bid or offer available for anyone in the ring to participate. But somebody in front of me or right next to me, I'm more likely to hear them say buy them or sold more quickly than I will somebody across the ring, so more likely to trade with people near me.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, not to bury the lead, but that sort of thing doesn't exist really anymore.
Correct. Now, screen trading, everyone enters their bid or offer, and they get in the queue. It shows the total bid for at each price, the total offered at each price, and if somebody cancels their order, that volume reduces. If somebody enters an order, the volume increases.
Right.
And who's time stamped first?
Right.
Whose order got in first? It's very organized. Who got in? And while open outcry trading, two orders may come into the ring with the same time stamp. One may get an execution, and one may not because there wasn't enough to fill both orders.
And and you have to know what type of order that was. It was like a fill or kill order, or what?
Yes, limit order, market order, all different. Yeah.
Like I came around right at that transition. Like my job when I showed up on an exchange was to help these older audio guys start using a screen to execute.
Guys who probably didn't know how to use a computer.
That would be an understatement. So that sort of came around. When did it fully end? Like do you remember what year was the last year that Open Outcry was available on? Because I think there's a few little places where
I'm looking at my production assistant.
I think I was 11, so like 2015.
So about 2015, 2016 was when the commodity trading floors in New York actually closed.
Okay.
And it was probably a 10-year slide when you...
I showed up in summer of 06.
06, so 10 years. So when you got there, you helped traders set up their tablets.
Yes.
So that they could trade on the screen while they were on the trading floor. That was the transition period. We called it side-by-side trading. The open outcry side and the electronic side. It was progression. Technology came into the marketplace, and no one made the decision that exchanges were going to only allow open outcry trading or only allow electronic trading. The technology was introduced, and just like the price of the market, the marketplace decided what was best for them. So when I was a runner and a customer called our booth with an order, someone wrote the order on a ticket and time-stamped it, and if we executed the order, we charged a commission. So the person who made the decision to buy or sell, we got some of their profits, maybe $2 per contract, and then the investment bank where they had their account, E.F. Hutton or Prudential Bache or Bank of America, wherever they had their account, they charge a commission also. So if you make $100 on a transaction, you're not getting all 100. Same thing as a floor trader won't. You have to pay commission.
Sure.
So by allowing someone to sit at home in their basement with their bathrobe on and trade on the screen, instead of calling the trading floor and have someone else do it for them, they're cutting out the middle guy, cutting out the commission. So you're making a profit already by keeping more of your money.
Yeah, that's true.
And then most of the customers or clients that called the trading floor decided it was better for them or more efficient for them to get in this central limit order book in that price ladder electronically, where there's more efficient marketplace, where you don't have to worry about who you're standing next to or who you didn't buy a drink for at the bar last night. They're not going to recognize you
Right.
in your bid or offer. It's more organized and there's less commission. And the marketplace decided to go with electronic trading, and that was a 10-year slide from '06 to 16. That was a slide of the trading floor, and eventually the dodo bird and the buggy whip, they're out.
Yeah. Do you miss it?
I still have friends that I know from the trading floor. I don't see many of them anymore. When something occurs that I'm aware of, like on social media, about the trading floor, or I hear something, I look around and I don't have anyone to tell that to anymore, because I've outlasted most people that I knew from the trading floor.
You're the last man standing.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, there's still some people around, but it's more, well, if I see somebody, I have to tell them what happened, or if I'm texting someone, I'll tell them what happened. But I miss it. But life goes on. I've progressed.
Right. That's exactly the only constant is change, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. Like I really enjoy. It was the first thing I was introduced to in like my career. That idea, and I was like, unfortunately, I was sort of like. I was at the end.
I think it's time to show the picture.
You want to show the picture? All right. Yeah, we're gonna have this was me actually participating in a. This was a competition for a collegiate competition, so I wasn't actually trading real money here, but we were judged on what proficiency and your proficiency in doing the hand motions, but then also making money, whether you actually made some money on
Correct.
it or not. So I remember I did pretty well. I think I came in like second. Yeah.
You must have done well.
I did all right, but I was like proof in the picture there that I was part of that world, and I always like that world. Like I like it in the same way you like, I don't know, like Civil War memorabilia, or World War II. It's like it's just cool to see how it used to be.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like see the little the Quotron with the little green font and all the tickets and all that, all the jackets and all that. It's just, that swag and stuff is all like part of the history of Wall Street.
The amount of paper we went through every day is astonishing.
I'm sure.
The amount of trees and forests that we killed. Now, there was no. I remember every day, every transacted price that went on the board got printed on green bar paper and was put in a ledger, and it was called the street book. And if a customer called and said, "Hey, I put this order in, and you execute, I got an execution price at 25. I think I should have gotten an execution price at 27." If they were a seller, they think they should have gotten a better execution price. So you had to go to the street book and flip through 400 pages of this green bar paper that's legal, more than legal wide, and go through it and find the commodity that you were trading, the month that you were trading, the delivery month that you were trading, and the time that you were trading, and look through every print, and then compare the timestamp on the order, and estimate how much time it took to get the order from the booth into the ring, and where was the market trading, and were the prints going on the board 25 or 27? And sometimes you needed to adjust the customer to the value that they thought they deserved if the data supported it, or tell them you beat, where I executed your order at the time at the prices that were going on the board. And it was an effort. It took 20 minutes to figure that out. Now you could just, a couple clicks on the computer and
the likelihood of it being wrong is actually far less now as well. So you're not going to reconcile the price breaks nearly as often or as severely. Like maybe it's off by like a penny or
Correct.
something, but because of a lag and latency.
And when you're trading on a computer, it's anonymous trading. You don't know who you're trading with. In open outcry trading, I knew that I wrote the name on the trading pad who I traded with, and he or she stands right in front of me, and if there's a miscommunication, if he or she thought the quantity was 15 and I thought the quantity was 50, we can reconcile it right away. On a computer, whatever you enter, that's your execution price, that's your execution quantity, and you don't know who you traded against, so you're beat. It is what it is. You're beat.
It is what it is.
I think
that's a good way, I think, to kind of maybe start to close up our discussion. You're definitely gonna have to come back again. We'll have. I know you probably have 100 more stories you could tell. I have probably 10 more questions I could ask. So we'll definitely have to have you back. But I appreciate you being
Absolutely.
here. Is there anything else you want to say before you sign off? What are your parting thoughts on the entire idea of open outcry?
Well, something from the trading floor that I heard often, I guess it works with any trading: bulls and bears make money, pigs get slaughtered.
That is a mantra that is still in use today by some people. So that's good parting words.
Or, we quoted Trading Places a few times, everyone wants to turn those machines back on.
Turn those machines back on. That's right. Oh, yeah, I love those guys. All right, well, everybody, thanks. We got, this is dropping, we're July expiration today. So we're dropping end of July. Just everybody remember, we have Instagram, we got Facebook, we got X. Check out the store now, and we have Substack postings every Tuesday. So again, John, I appreciate you being here. We'll have to have you back again. I can't wait to talk about some of this. I don't want to call it old-timey because it feels like an insult, but some of the classic.
We can both wear our trading jackets.
Next time we'll wear our trading jackets, yeah. So all right, everybody, thank you. We'll see you next month.